Afternoon everyone, hope you're all doing okay. It's finally time to break down the cost of the tank. I've taken a bit of a different viewpoint this afternoon just because I was trying to sort of get everything spread out so I could at least show you all of the individual items that I bought. So the aim of today's video really is just to let you know exactly what I've spent on the tank so far in terms of getting things started. It's been costly, as you can probably imagine. And I think I've mentioned a few times now, you're not getting into this hobby if you're trying to save money. It's just not going to work, especially when you get something that's bigger than a very small tank anyway. There's plenty to be positive about. It's not cost as much as I thought it would have done. It's been relatively expensive, but as I say, I honestly thought I'd spent more than I had done. I've managed to, so when I bought the tank initially, I managed to get, I think it was about 5% off. So I bought it from Complete Aquatics. So if you are looking at buying the tank and you're in the UK, I'd probably consider using Complete Aquatics because they do 5% discount. They were doing it at the time when I bought it, which was a couple of months ago, but I think they're still doing 5% now. That ended up saving me about 85 quid, something like that. Because I spent about 1,700 quid in total on the initial order that I made, and then I've obviously topped it up with other things as time's gone by. So I'm going to go through the list of everything. So it's quite a long list. Obviously, I want you to all be aware that, so what I tried to do in the main was go for good quality products that I knew was going to last me, rather than buying cheap, crappy stuff that I knew I was going to have to replace within a few months. So I've spent probably more than you need to spend on certain items. I will point that out when I'm going along. But having said that, the areas where I have overspent on, I actually think possibly they may benefit me further down the line in terms of if they don't fail, then it may save me, the loss of some fish or the loss of some corals, something like that. So let's see how things go anyway. I've got the total price for you, so I'm going to break down each individual element, and then I'm going to break down the price of that element, and then we'll tot it all up at the end. So strap yourselves in. It's quite an expensive one and quite a long video. So start with the tank. The tank was £1,149. By the way, I've rounded up all of these, so and there's a couple where I couldn't remember the exact prices, so I've sort of guessed it to within a few quid really. But tank was £1,149. As you'll remember if you've been following my channel so far, it's a Red Sea Max E170. It's in white. So the tank comes with, so for £1,149, it's a 170 litre tank. It's quite expensive for quite a small tank, in comparison. But it's, in my opinion, one of the best quality tanks there is out there. The Red Sea stuff is just second to none, really. I've had an Evolution Aqua tank before. I've also had, I think I had a 1200S in the EA. I've had a Aqua One 300 litre tank before. That came out at about 600 quid. That was reasonable, something like that. It was reasonably cheap, but it was cheap. It looked cheap. This tank looks really premium quality. It's glass all the way round rather than being where the rear sump is. Some of the tanks I've had before have been like a plastic tank, backed tank. So it's really good. Price wise, it was expensive, but don't forget it was plug and play. So it came with the Reef 90 LED, which I saw in Bursko Aquatics the other day. That was 350 quid, brand new. So straight away your tank, when you take that out of the equation, comes down to 800 quid. Would I have spent 350 quid on that light? Probably not. It's good enough for what I need, but if I'm being honest, I probably would go for something like a Hydra 26, something like that, for a similar sort of price, possibly a little bit cheaper. I'm not sure of the Hydra 26's value at the moment, but I'd probably go for something like that. I am considering swapping that light over, but it won't be for a little while now. I seem to be getting reasonable growth from the corals, which is obviously the main reason that you would get, spend a decent amount of money on a light. I'm getting really nice shimmer as well off the Reef 90 within the tank. So I'm probably happy with it overall, but I think there's better performing lighting out there. But I'd be interested to see what you say on that. So tank comes with that light. It also comes with the rear sump, the protein skimmer, and it comes with a return pump as well. So when you factor in the hang-on protein skimmer, you'd probably be looking about 100 quid for that. Your return pump, you're probably looking £50 or so for that. So really, I've spent, the tank on its own probably would cost in the region of sort of £650, which I think is reasonable. I think when you break it down to that value, I think that's a reasonable price for the tank. And then obviously you've got the extras on top, taking it up to that £1,149. Now, heater-wise, this is one of the areas I did overspend. So heaters, generally I think this is a, what wattages are we on here? 200 watt. So it's a 200 watt heater. You can normally get them in the glass heaters for between sort of 20 and 25 quid, I think. Spent 45 quid on this. It's a titanium heater, so it shouldn't rust. I've not noticed any rusting whatsoever on it at the moment. It's been in the tank for knocking on 3 months now. Made in Germany, good quality. It feels really good. It just feels a great product. So that was 45 quid. I also, in fact, sorry, that was £49 that. I also then bought the D&D dual temp controller. That came alongside this, which sort of came hand in hand, and that's why I've overspent really, because you don't need either. You certainly need that. You don't need this, but it lets me know at all times what the temperature in my tank is. I try and run it at 26 degrees. Today it's quite warm, so it's running at about 27 degrees. So I have seen a bit of a peak, but it's not a quick jump. It's a slow, gradual rise. It will drop down eventually. It was running about 25 a couple of weeks ago, so it does tend to sort of go anywhere between those two ranges. Doesn't keep it exactly perfect, but to be fair, the tank is in a position where it's in light. It's in a light area. It's getting some sunlight on it at some point in the day, so it will heat the tank up naturally. But that was £45. Again, good investment. It's a dual controller, so if I ever decide to get the chilling unit that you can get for the tanks, it will work alongside that. Next on the list, I spent £108 on the Tunzi Turbell NanoStream 6040. This is a 4,500 litre pump. Would I buy that again? Absolutely not. I don't feel I'm getting the flow through the tank that I would have liked. Its turnover is about. It says it's for tanks from 20 to 500 litres. It's probably about right, but I don't really feel I'm getting an awful lot of flow. I'm not seeing much movement in the torch coral or on my Gonia Pore is not moving an awful lot, so I'm not seeing an awful lot. I've got it turned up to the max. Maybe it's broke, I don't know. But it was 108 quid. I like the control unit on it. The control unit's great. The actual unit itself looks okay, but I just would have liked something with a little bit more customizability, really. So I probably will replace that at some point with an MP10. Obviously, didn't want to spend 250 quid on MP10 to start with. So let's see how that goes over the next few months. Next in line was obviously the RO unit. Now, the RO units cost me 100 quid. I know I'm going to have to replace it with replace the filters in it at some point in the future. But I personally think this is the way forward. If you look at the cost of salted water at the moment, I think it's about £5 for 25 litres. So I spent so my tank's 170 litres. I would have been looking at something like, where are we? 20 quid. We're looking at 35 quid to fill it up from the start. And if I'm doing a sort of a 15 litre water change every single week, then quite quickly you've spent that 100 quid. Obviously, you've got the cost of the water, which I've not seen on the utility bill yet, but don't tell the missus. But I've got it running really well. The pressure in our area, we live up in Southport, which is just north of Liverpool. Pressure's not fantastic, but I do probably get, in a day, I would say 100 litres if I had it on all day, about 6 hours for 50 litres. It says it works at 190 litres. It's not perfect, but I don't get a lot of wastage either, so it makes me think the pressure's quite good on that. So I would fully recommend an RO unit. I don't mind mixing the salt. I find it quite interesting. Obviously, I find sometimes with the heat in the tank that I get a bit more evaporation some weeks more than others. I have got an auto top up, which I'll come on to in a moment, but I do find that RO unit in time will save me money when you combine it with the salt. And obviously I can run the salt water at with the particular type of salt water that I want to at the salinity that I want to. I've got it running at a slightly higher salinity at the moment because I'm trying to get a little bit more growth from the coral. So we'll come on to that in a moment. So the next thing on my list is the Tunzi Auto Top-Up Unit. That was £74. You might remember I was having some problems with that to start with. It's working perfectly now. They replaced the unit with a new unit and I've not had any issues whatsoever. It's topping up when it should do. I'm not noticing any sort of jump generally in my in the salinity of the water on a week-to-week basis, which I was seeing with the old unit that they sent out. So obviously some of these bits and pieces are vanity. This was vanity, really. This was vanity, but that isn't. You know, just get one sorted straight away, and as long as you keep your RO reserve topped up, you'll be absolutely fine. Next on the list was the jerry cans. So you'll all know what a jerry can looks like. I got 3 25-litre jerry cans. One is used for my RO reserve, and I use 2 to top up my RO water from my auto top from my RO unit. And they cost me 27 quid, so £9 a pop. Obviously, just touching back onto the RO unit, I started with the Red Sea Coral Pro Salt. It does run at a high KH. I am currently buffering to about 11 on the list, on the system, as it were. So it runs quite high. Steve at Burst Aquatics has said you probably don't need to run it that high, so maybe go back down to the normal Red Sea salt. I might do that going forward, but we'll just wait and see what's going on with regards the growth once I get to the end of this tub. I've been running the tank for about 3 months now. I would say I've probably got 60% of the salt left, and that's after starting off. So it seems to be lasting quite a while. I don't mind spending money on stuff if it's going to last a while. We obviously need to put something in the tank with regards rock. Live rock's one of your options. It's ethically not quite as good as it used to be. Obviously, it's mined from the seafloor itself, so ethically people tend to stay away from it now. The real reef rock is what I went with. I've spent about £200 on the real reef rock, and I would say I've got between sort of 12 and 13 kilos, I think, but I'm not 100% sure. So yeah, I think that's reasonably priced. The only thing I would say with the real reef rock, it looks great straight off the bat because obviously it's painted with coralline sort of colours on it, but I believe that's been the issue with my nitrates if you've been following my channel. So there's pros and cons to it, but from an ethical perspective, it's sourced, it's man-made. So, and it's been, I believe Real Reef do run it through their tank, their systems for a while. So I've noticed a couple of there's no nasties on it as such, but there's little bits of sponge growing and things like that. So I don't know whether they've come in on some of the frags that I've put in or whatever, but I have got a little bit of sponge corals growing at the moment. So all fine, nothing to worry about. The Red Sea live sand, that was 35 quid. I bought the Fiji pink, I think it was, something like that. Nice. It's sand. I can't get excited over sand, but it was live sand, so it came obviously with all the good nitrifying bacteria that we were wanting for the start of the tank. Obviously, I've passed my opinion on this on the next item on my list, which is the Reef Mature Kit. It was 23 quid. I wouldn't buy it again. I don't know whether it was just me that had the problem. It seems to get good reviews. I mean, at the end of the day, if it works, it's worth paying for. It was 23 quid, and within 3 weeks, you've got a fully mature tank. I don't know if I'd have used Live Rock. Would this have worked better? Probably. But obviously, I used the real Reef Rock. Didn't see any major benefits with this, so that was kind of you know, for me, that was a redundant purchase. I wouldn't buy it again if I was starting again. I bought some Reef Spec Carbon, which was 10 quid. I haven't brought that with me, but just to keep the tank clear, I need to. I'm at a point at the minute where I think I probably need to change the carbon in the tank, because I'm getting a little bit of cloudiness at the moment. So I'm gonna change that when we're done. I got some media bags, little filtered media bags. They were only 7 quid, so they were two tiny things. I've actually not used them, because when I bought them, I thought they were larger than they were. I bought them because they were of the size, the micro. I think they were 200 micron bags. They were only small, quite good for filtering any bits of debris out. But it's not. They're so small, I can't even suspend them anywhere in the tank, so I've just jibbed them off. I also bought some probiotic marine food. That was 9 quid. It was so you can see it's only really fine stuff. Should just be able to see that there. It's fine stuff. It's I bought it right at the outset because I wanted to try and get the tank cycling a little bit better with some of this waste that I was going to be producing from putting that in. I'm only putting sort of a pinch of that in at the moment, because obviously, as you'll know, I've only got the 3 fish at the moment. A couple of pinches a day, and I just think it's really good quality food. The fish love it. I was a bit worried about the banana wrasse when I first put the banana wrasse in. It wasn't feeding off it, but it's feeding off it fine now. I suppose it's needs must with food. Refractometer. There are a couple of cheaper refractometers than this. They're all pretty similar, but that was £43 on that one. I went with, so I got 2 test kits. I got the Marine Care test kit, which tests for nitrite, nitrate, ammonia, your pH and your KH. So that basically was, I think that's it, everything. Yeah, that's everything on there. That was £45, and then I added to that with a phosphate test kit, which was 15 quid. I bought that because obviously I wanted to get my corals in there, so I was just needing to check the phosphates out. I then bought a 4-gang surge protected switched trailing socket. As you know, I wasn't overly impressed with the fact that there was no UK plugs in the bit that came with the Red Sea Max tank. So I bought that separately. That was £16. I got some a big tub of no-pox that'll last me absolutely ages, because I'm only dosing 4.5 ml a day, and there is a litre in here, I think. Yeah, 1 litre, so that should last me about 225 days, so I shouldn't need to buy that for a while. Also bought some sodium bicarbonate for my KH, so that I could dose that and keep that up at that level of 11 where I'm trying to aim for at the moment. That seems to be going well. That was £15. Another must siphon for getting the sand clean at the bottom of the tank, and obviously taking the water out so that you don't need to suck the water out and end up with a big mouthful of seawater. That was £6, so that was all nice and cheap. I then got some milliput, which I've not brought with me, but I'm sure you all know what milliput looks like. I've had about 3 boxes of that. That's £15 or so for the 3 boxes. I also bought this Reef Tide 4000S, which you'll have seen on one of my recent videos. That was another sort of non-necessity, but yeah, I think, again, it seems to be relatively decent. It's providing a little bit of flow for me. That was £85. I also bought some Roaphos because I was advised to start the tank off with some Roaphos and run it all the time. that coupled with my no-pox is doing a really good job of managing the phosphates. I've been testing that the last few days, and even though you'll have noticed, I've told you before about me dosing the Red Sea coral buffer, the coral nutrition stuff, that is supposed to increase the nitrate, the phosphates in the tank, but I'm getting nothing at all at the moment, so that's been great. The Roa Phos was £15. And then the other couple of bits that I had was, I've got this tank cleaner, which was the Tunzi tank cleaner. I think it's the medium or large size. That was about 35 quid, but again, it comes with a set of, with an extra set of scraper, and it just worked well. The glass is quite thick, so it works quite well on that. And then finally, I had the DIY tank cover, which was the Red Sea Max DIY tank cover. That was £36. Again, another investment that's not particularly necessary, but I did have some wrasse when I first started keeping marine fish a few years ago that just kept jumping out the tank. And I'm going to try and go and get something like a sand sifting goby over the next couple of days, because I'm getting some bacteria, algae growth on the sand every few days now. So there's enough there for it to feed off. So I'm going to go and get one of those. I've had a couple of them jump over the years as well. So when all's said and done, as I say, quite a bit of the items on this list were not really necessary items, but for me, they've made the journey a little bit easier. The total of that tank, I can hear my missus in the other room now, so she'll be listening to this. The total is £2,251. So it's an expensive startup hobby, because obviously that doesn't include putting in your fish, which you're looking at, if at the moment, I think I spent about £22 on the wrasse. I spent about 40 quid on the clownfish. Cleaner shrimp was about £13, something like that. And then I've got 4 or 5 corals, which I've probably spent about 120 quid on. So you're looking at 250 quid straight away there before you've even really got going on the corals as well. So but I think the tank's a really good tank. It will last for a good few years. The one thing I would say with this, just touching back on the tank, is that the tank cleaner has stopped. The way it's built, it doesn't let the sand get trapped, so there's no scratches on the tank even a few months in, which I'm really impressed with. So I would definitely recommend that. But yeah, the tank's been great so far. I'll probably do an update over the next few weeks with regards the my overall thoughts a few months in, and we'll see how that goes. Again, I'm quite happy at the moment with the tank, but yeah, I think hopefully that's given you some idea of what you can expect to spend. It might make you go for a little bit of a cheaper tank. It might make you try and source the tank secondhand off the likes of ultimatereef.net, things like that, and save a little bit of money that way. But all of this was bought brand new, because I just thought, well, if I'm going to do it, I might as well try and get the warranty with everything. Obviously got the 3-year warranty on the tank itself. So yeah, I'm happy with what I've spent on it. It's been expensive, but it's been worthwhile so far. So I hope you found that informative. If you did, please like and subscribe to my channel, and I will speak to you soon over the next couple of days. Thanks.